The title of this video is New Moon in Taurus, May 8 Astrology Forecast. My name is Georges Verbena, and this is an astrology forecast for May 8, 2024. So if you want to know what is coming up in these astrology transits, please stay tuned as I go through the main events that is going on right now, leading on to May 8, because I'm making this video on May 3. So if you're watching this before the new moon in Taurus on May 8, this will give you an idea also what happens prior to that. And then I will also talk about what happens after the new moon and what has been the events leading up to it. So, without further ado, let's get to it. So, looking at the chart, you will see that this new moon in Taurus will be at exactly 3:22 Universal Time on May 8, 2024. So this will of course be a conjunction between the Sun and the Moon in the same sign in Taurus, because that's where the new moon is. This new moon particularly will be at 18 degrees of Taurus. So this will happen in the second decan, which is the Mercury decan, which is about communication. And if you look at Mercury, Mercury is actually at an exact conjunction with Chiron on the new moon. So communication, travel, technology, and just everything that has to do with Mercury, which is information in distribution, will be a main theme at that time. So there will be a major blockage in communication that is going to be revealed. Of course, Taurus also rules the throat, so it rules stability, money, possessions. So this would be a new beginning in your money matters or your possessions, maybe your housing, maybe somebody or something that you're holding on to. Maybe you have released something on the previous full moon in Scorpio, and after you released it, you're ready to let in something new. So this could be a commitment of some kind, doesn't have to be, but generally speaking, every new moon is about a fresh start. And Taurus is about commitments, because it's a fixed sign. Taurus is about investments, long term. It's about establishments. It's about trading. It's about buying. It's about selling. It's about money. And it's about sensuality. So it's about pleasure. But a new moon, new means dark. It means the emotions are at an all-time low at that time. So if you look at this chart, you can see also that Mars has recently entered Aries, and it will continue to be in Aries for the next 2 months. Now, there is something going on with Mars, because since the 28th of April, Mars has been in a full conjunction with Neptune in Pisces. Now it's in Aries, but until this new moon, still a conjunction with Neptune, because you see it's a 6-degree orbit. When Mars is in 5 degrees on the new moon, it will be exactly 6 degrees away from Neptune. That means that confusion, dissolution, taking a break, taking a vacation, just going to sleep, taking a time out, that's going to afflict Mars quite significantly until approximately the 12th of May, but finally Mars leaves that orbit for good. So recently we had a lot of tiredness in the collective. So maybe you just felt like you didn't really want to work recently. And this may have shifted when Mars entered Aries about the 1st of May. But even though Mars entered Aries, still in a conjunction with Neptune, so even though you may have felt like doing something more, let's face it, you're not going to really feel a lot of energy until this transit is over. Because generally speaking, Neptune doesn't like to work, doesn't like to do anything when it's conjunction Mars. Neptune also creates avoidance of conflict. People who try to manipulate you, try to lie to you, try to avoid accountability. People who don't like to face the music. people who don't like your boundaries, people who don't like to be held accountable. All these issues are of course highlighted not only by the fact that Mars is in conjunction with Neptune, but Mercury is also in conjunction Chiron. At the same time, in Aries, the sign of confrontation, the sign of conflict, the sign of justice, integrity. So justice is exactly what people have been avoiding, which is why it's Chiron that's being involved. Chiron is the wound. Chiron is, I can't do this. I can't do justice because I am a piece of shit and I would rather dodge you, lie to you, pretend that everything's love and light, so I do not have to face the music. And this has been going on for over a month now. For over a month, because Mercury was in retrograde, Mercury was passing Chiron 2 times, and now it's finally hitting for the 3rd time. At last, it is finishing this cycle for good on the new moon. And what is this cycle? This is a cycle of lying, manipulating, people trying to play mind games with you, people trying to avoid accountability, people being cowards, because that's the cowardice wound of the wounded warrior, when Chiron is in Aries. And Mercury is where the cowardness is taking place in our communication and our messaging, where we're saying, no, I didn't mean it like that. No, you misread me, you misunderstood me, you just imagining things, you're just projecting things, blah, 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 to deflect, or what we call darvo, deflect, avoid, attack, play victim, you know the whole game. And of course, gaslighting is always involved when the Chiron is conjunction Mercury. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody's gaslighting you during this transit. Doesn't mean that somebody's playing games with you. It could be that you are the one who has to look at your wounds, your anxiety, your stress around communication. Because generally that's what it is about. Chiron is about stress. Chiron is about the antenna that says, I don't like the reaction that I'm expecting, the negative reaction. You know, when somebody has a negative reaction to what you're doing, to what you're saying, and you don't want that reaction, so you're walking on eggshells, you're trying to avoid the conflict. Do not avoid anything when we have these transits, because Chiron and the North Node, they deal with karmic issues. So we've been dealing with karmic issues for a whole month. And this is not over on the new moon. Wait at least a few days until the 15th of May, until this karmic cycle has come to a completion. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't get my hopes up that any conflicts are going to completely come to an end until the end of May. Because you see, there's something else coming up. The North Node, after all, is still in Aries. It's going to be in Aries until February 2025. And Mars is going to be conjunction the North Node exactly at the end of May. So around the 20th of May, there will be a Sun conjunction Jupiter aspect and Mars conjunction the North Node at the same time. So the divine masculine, so to speak, the emperor, is rising to be integrated, to be established, to be embodied, to be expressed. Because if you're not expressing the divine masculine at the end of May, if you're not being assertive, direct, in control, in command of the conversation, of the communication, of the conflict, if you are not the one initiating, then something will initiate on you. Because the karma is coming for those who are still avoiding conflict. I mean, are we still in kindergarten or what? We've had a whole month, April, of transit after transit after transit after transit, of addressing our woundedness in our masculinity, our toxic masculinity, where we try to control things, where we try to avoid triggering other people, where we try to avoid the heinous wrath of the bully or the tyrant, because we are cowards and we're still operating in slave consciousness collectively. And the transits have been showing that. just how many slaves there are on this planet at this time. How many people are, like I said in my previous videos, in the loser bracket. While there are very, 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 very few, of course myself included, who else, who are in the winner bracket, who are not hiding communication, but also who are not being the bully or the tyrant either, because they're not easily triggered by words, by provocations, by disagreements, because we are no longer in kindergarten, unlike the loser bracket, which unfortunately is the vast majority of people who are still in kindergarten, still walking on eggshells, still being in the sandbox, throwing sand at each other, but then the moment the baby cries and says, "Mommy, he's throwing sand at me," the child says, "What do you mean? I didn't do anything," playing the victim to avoid accountability. I mean, grow the fuck up, okay? Because these trends, that's what it's about. In case you didn't realize it, that's exactly what it's about. So these trends are showing us how to grow the fuck up. Because eventually somebody has to grow up. They cannot always be a child. And there's going to be major conjunctions happening here. Because this new moon will also be conjunction Uranus, the lord of individuation and separation. Of course, in psychology there's a phenomena of you becoming an individual, establishing your uniqueness, knowing who you are, not giving a flying F about who's going to agree with it, who's not going to agree with it, who gives a shit, grow up. So Uranus is going to help you to step into a new cycle, finally leaving an old life behind. That's really what the trend is saying, because it is highlighting the fact that we've had this recent Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which was about leaving an old cycle, an old life, an old karmic situation. Because, of course, like I said before in my previous videos, the month of April was an ending of karmic contracts. So now we are stepping into a new karmic situation. Karmic situation in what way? Well, it depends what work have you been doing to understand how you are separate from other people and how to actualize that, right? How to actualize your individuality. Individual means divided. You are divided, which is good. You should be divided. Because if you're not divided from others, you will be divided from yourself. Because the only way to establish your sense of identity is through knowing your identity, your opinion, which of course is going to lead to disagreement. Eventually, when shit hits the fan and you meet somebody who's a loser, belonging to the loser bracket, while you're in the winner bracket. So this Uranus transit on the moon and the sun is going to show us who's established in the new timeline, who's part of the progress, who's part of the evolution, because something is going to trigger you to show you, are you ready to evolve yet? Are you doing it? Or are you still in the sandbox in kindergarten, throwing sand and then pretending you didn't throw it? So that's what it's going to be about. Because Uranus is going to highlight something it's very tricky here, you know, because it's going to be conjunction the moon. And the moon is about protection. It's about, oh, my poor little feelings, which are going to be hurt when Uranus is involved. Because Uranus is about triggering, zapping, electrifying, showing you, oh no, there's something to be triggered about. So there's going to be some kind of trigger, collectively. Of course, it's a new moon. It's not going to be exactly emotional, but Uranus makes things a little bit emotional, a little bit charged. And what is charged exactly here? Well, in Taurus, it is our stability, the stability of a situation. So if you have been shedding and releasing anything unstable, anything rotten, anything from your basement, anything hidden on the full moon in Scorpio, then this new moon is going to test you. It's going to see, what else is unstable? So it's not like the cleanup is really over. Not really. Not if you look at these aspects. Because Uranus is about release, awaken, lighten up, get it out. Get it out. So what is getting out? Our attachment to a situation, a contract, something that you're still holding on to. This is the start of a new cycle in which you're no longer holding on to it. So if you're resisting to letting that thing go, there's going to happen something chaotic, something disruptive to your peace, because mind is moon. Moon in Taurus is peace. Uranus is going to disrupt the peace. So get ready. Get ready to embrace chaos, to embrace conflict. Because that is the primary lesson of this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. The month of April, all of these aspects combined. And what we're stepping into now is to test you. Yeah, you've done your exam, your previous exam, but you know how in school you do exams just to test you for your final exam. You know how you have, how do you call it, preliminary exams or something. April was preliminary, my goodness, I'm not a native English speaker. And May is going to be the final exam, okay? So only after May is over, then you're really like, oh God, this is constipation, out of it. Doesn't have to be constipation, of course. Not if you're a winner. But if you're a loser, then you're definitely going to be constipated. So, yeah, what else is there to say? Let's see here. Ah, yes, of course. Venus is going to be square Pluto. So that's interesting. Because Venus is, of course, in charge of Taurus, is the depositor of this new moon. And the depositor of the new moon is square with Pluto, which just entered retrograde 2 days ago. Interesting, yeah? Interesting. So not only do we have a destabilizing thing happening here, not only do we have a shaking of our attachments and our attachments kind of hurting us and holding us hostage, but here there's really a lot going on under the surface in our relationships, in our love life, in our money matters, which is going to be tested once more. Are you really stable? Is this really long term? And perhaps to shed and shed again is a little bit, it gets boring at a certain point. I understand that. But Pluto here wants to see if you're still putting up with it. Are you still putting up with that drama? Or are you finally able to say, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I'm putting up with this. Learning to say no to a situation here. And Pluto is in retrograde. So if you say no, there's going to be backlash. It's going to be negative reactions. People are going to be like, what do you mean you say no? I thought it was so wonderful. I thought we had such a good thing. Yeah, okay. But grow the fuck up, because progress and evolution is in disharmony, in square with our relationship. Meaning you're not progressing, you're not evolving. I mean, that's the whole nature of a square. So something is not evolving in our relationships at this time. Something has not been evolving for quite a while. And the swamp is what's being addressed on this new moon. The swamp of emotions. Emotions held back. Emotions swallowed. This is why it's in Taurus, because it rules the throat. So you're swallowing. What are you swallowing? Just get it out. And then when you do, the square will no longer be an issue. But there could be a surprise of some kind, because Uranus, of course, is also a surprise. And I think that it is a surprise in your relationships. There could be something coming in, something going out. This could be a time where I wouldn't recommend going on a date. Not really. I wouldn't recommend signing any contracts, agreeing to anything. I wouldn't sign any commitments here. Because this is very harmonious energies, very disharmonious, which is funny because it's in the sign of harmony, Taurus, and that's exactly where the disruption is happening, with Pluto squaring Venus here, the ruler, with Uranus being conjunction the moon. I mean, this would be a good time if you are on the side of the winners. If you are a winner, that means you're like, I'm not afraid of dysfunction, not afraid of disruption, I'm going to clear it up. I'm going to address the elephant in the room. So if you have been addressing, then there is going to be harmony indeed. And you're going to feel like you're stronger after this new moon. It's finishing a cycle of weakness. A weakness. Yeah? Weakness that we are just a little bit too shy, too passive, too much in the background. That weakness. Of course, the recent Scorpio full moon, that was supposed to be your gateway to root that out. And this could test some people one more time. But other people, the winner bracket, they're just going to have a nice little vacation, I think. Because you see, even though work is going to begin again around the 10th of May, when Mars leaves Neptune, and Uranus will also be in exact conjunction with the moon, well, there's going to be gifts at that time. There's going to be an increase in business matters. Like if you have your own business, if you're earning money independently. Those kinds of people, they're really in the winner bracket here. Because these trends are extremely favorable for money matters. If you're trying to make more money, if you're trying to get a good deal, if you're trying to attract more clients, if you're starting an advertisement, if you're starting a new service, a new product, dishing something out, this is really good. Yeah, so if you're doing that, I would recommend to do that at this time. So, yeah. Apart from that, this is really a self-care transit, I think, because recently we've had this Mars-Neptune and it's like, don't force yourself to do anything you don't want to do at this time. Just take a time out, take a break. This is your vacation. Yeah, this is not the time to be aggressively productive. This is a time for planning. This is a time to let opportunities come to you. And then take those opportunities when they are presented. Say yes to the opportunity. But do not force it, because then things are really going to be very chaotic. Because these are chaotic energies. These are malefic influences with work here. Wait until May 12th or May 10 before you really start the initiative. Because at that point, Mars is going to get closer and closer to the North Node. This is really the time at the end of May when you want to step into the Emperor energy. But until then, plan, recharge, rejuvenate. This is just how I'm reading this energy. So, yeah, what else can I say? To be honest with you, there's nothing else really going on. Saturn makes a trine with this new moon, which is pretty good. Trine. Or sextile, whatever you want to call it, is a sextile. Sextile, so this is very good for commitments. This is very stable transit in terms of sticking to something, making something work. I mean, this recent Scorpio full moon was really the main time about releasing. This isn't really about release, this new moon. This new moon is just about starting things, getting a new commitment, starting work, getting more money, an increase in finances, an increase in stability, an increase in pleasure. Like if you want to start a new diet, for example, if you want to, some people could even start a fast at this time. like a cleanse. Other people could break the cleanse, finish it, if you've been cleansing recently, because the current transits were cleansing transits. But you know, I'm saying this because Uranus on the moon in Taurus, Uranus is rejecting the food in Taurus. Uranus is rejecting the way we've been doing things, what we've been holding on to, our attachments. Whatever you've been doing rigidly for the last 14 to 28 days is going to come to an end on the new moon in Taurus. That's all you need to know. So don't resist it. I mean, you should have seen this coming, that it should have ended. Whatever it's going to be, it could be minor, nothing stressful, it could just be something personal, because the moon is very personal. And the sun is going to be conjunction Uranus exactly on May 12th. So that's interesting, yeah? Look out for May 12th, because that's going to be a major date. The sun is conjunction Uranus, my goodness. Just don't, I wouldn't plan anything for that date. I wouldn't go on a trip, I wouldn't go on a vacation, I would just do nothing. Why? Because it's a time of surprises. It's a time of things where you have no control, like, okay, I guess this is just happening. It's a loss of control on May 12th. That's all you need to know. Yeah. But of course it could also be that you're feeling like you want to buy something, want to purchase something nice, something interesting. Whether it's technology like a phone, this is probably where lots of people will make a big sale, a big discount on May 12th. I wouldn't be surprised. This is like Black Friday energy. Because Uranus and Taurus, the sun is like, get me shopping, I want to buy it now, I don't give a shit anymore. So if you're looking to buy something, actually it's a good date for that. Yeah. Okay. Ah yes, well, at the end of May, you see on May 20, the sun will be conjunction Jupiter. That's the best date to do anything, to plan anything, to commit to anything. If you're looking to do something, do it on May 20. But seriously, you need to do something on that date. Between May 18 and May 25, you must do something interesting, something exciting, something travel, moving around, learning something new, researching, studying, sports, anything that's ruled by Jupiter before it goes into Gemini. Because this is going to be your last time when you can really cash in on that Jupiter. You really don't want to miss it. So something's going to be very auspicious, very favorable, but around May 20 to May 25. Whatever you're doing, do it. Just fucking do it. Just do it. Okay, that's basically it, yeah. I don't have anything else to say. So if you found this reading helpful, if you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, then yeah, just subscribe. And if you're interested in my readings, personal readings, one-on-one, check out my services on my page on Astrology on my Facebook. And you can reach out to me in any given time, one-on-one. I do personal readings. You can reach me through Messenger or email. So with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.